Now, I thought I will start with a quiz question, but actually I dropped this idea. We can finalize the discussion with that. I will go rather with what Amparo has just presented to us on her fine presentation about scale-ups and VC financing. 8.4% of women-led scale-ups in agri-tech attracted 8.8, so very similar number of venture capital money. I know it's reflecting the general situation in the venture capital market as a whole, but do you observe a little bit at least of shift? Do you see that more and more projects? It's a general question. Anyone who wants can answer. I'm looking at your eyes. I will grasp who wants to answer first. Do you see there is a change already, or we are here just to make the change? I can tell you this.
Of course, we are here to make a change.
This is our main mission and our main goal. I checked this while Amparo was presenting, and there is a little bit of shift. We have luckily increase in this proportion, but the proportion is really dramatic. It's so unequal. The balance for agri-tech sector is something that you are all contributing for years. And maybe I will start with Małgorzata with a, somebody can say, a philosophical question. But you've been working in a field of diversity for, as we heard, 15 years, like officially and professionally. Probably before that you were also interested in this field, because we rarely start our careers just from, from moment zero. There are always some presupposed interest. And from your perspective, why is really this topic of our panel, of our summit, so diversity in agri-food sector, really important? Maybe I'm just an advocate of the devil. Maybe it's not that important. If somebody wants to work in agri-food, let him or her do that. If not, and let's just don't think at those proportions, so unequal proportions as we see from the venture capital market.
Well, it is a philosophical question, quite a while. Well, in general, diversity is important in the whole society, so that's the first answer. We're talking more about agri-food sector and innovations, and there were many great speakers today that actually mentioned major data and reports on that, so it will be really difficult to say something new and fresh at this moment. But as Christina said, it's not always about, saying something innovative and new, but, repetition is sometimes key to success. Those who have kids would agree with me, suppose. So in terms of innovation, we shall remember that innovation is about selling products and creating new services and products that will be accepted by consumers. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but between 17 and 80% of all consumer decisions are made by women. So from this perspective, in agri-food sector, it's not only about being fair and to make the system fair. It's also about building trust in the food system, but it's also, as many already mentioned here and pointed out, it's affordable from the business perspective also. And when we talk about innovation, not only in agri-food sector, but we are here focusing on this one, when we talking about out-of-the-box thinking, it's about bringing diverse perspectives, diverse points of view, in order to actually, our main goal is to understand the unmet needs. So those unmet needs are important both from the social perspective and also, as said, from business perspective, because it makes money, basically.
So I understand that the supposition here would be like that if we really understand that women participation in agri-tech sector, agri-food sector is important, then the general shape of the sector will be economically stronger. Yes, we will just have better, more optimal system and better values.
Yes, remembering that diversity is not only about gender, but yes,
of
basically
course.
yes.
Of course, thank you very much for that. And Lorena, if I may,
Yes,
if I
sure.
may go to you, and now maybe another element of the house rules. Whenever you only feel interested in interrupting, giving your own comments, it's absolutely acceptable, even welcomed by the audience. So please go ahead. To this point, maybe some comments. If not, I will go with the specific questions to the philosophical question of is really balance in diversity in gender important for the sector as it is. If you like, some comments to what Małgorzata has said.
I think it's important to realize that we need to speak out and we need to really reinforce this. And I like what she said about repetition, because I think representation matters. And when you're seeing role models, it gives you also a bit of wings to be able to create your own business, your own path. And actually, I'm a bit representing the whole value chain. So not only women entrepreneurs in agri-food, but also women farmers, young women that would like to study agri-tech. If you go to the tech world, it's very male-dominated. Women don't get the chance to be, so vocal. So I think we still need to speak up. Things are changing, of course. I mean, if you go the member states, if you see the reality in the ground, women already are in the lead. But I think we need to make a bit of more showcase of that and building that confidence that you can speak out, and showcase that transformation, because the transformation is happening already.
So can we? Is it safe to conclude, Lorena, that Gender Alliance for Innovation in Agriculture, your initiative,
Yes,
is actually a platform to speak up and repeat, as Małgorzata suggests,
exactly.
those important claims or important notions? Yes, this is your field. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that? What is the role of your organization in this broad mission?
Sure.
2, 3 examples would be very handy for our audience.
Of course, but I really like the buzzword, so maybe we will use that for the next speech when we want to present Gaia,
Sure.
because this is really what Gaia is about, actually. And while we figure out working in European projects in the agri-food sector that women are very involved, but then if you look at leadership or managing, or who is actually representing a use case, an innovation experiment, a flagship case, or even, putting a new product into market, you always see males. Males are actually going to showcase that. And then you wonder, where are the women? Women are, left behind in doing the work. And then we came up with this, a bit of more gender equality and representation. So with Gaia, and to give you very few concrete examples, we work with young farmers. So young women that would like to take the lead, but they don't have the possibility because, I don't know, they don't own a farm, and then the generational gap and renewal is an important issue, because actually farm owners would like to pass on that to their son and not to their daughter. So things like this, so working with young females in farms to be more represented and actually to access European funding, because funding is another issue why women are not really, at the same stage with men. And we focus on different pillars, actually: networking, capacity building, mentoring, but also communication. Because I think someone said before, I don't know in which panel, it's so difficult to communicate about the work, and you think it's, a complete separate task, it's difficult to do, but actually it's so easy when you are genuine and passionate about the things you do. Communication just comes out, but you need to build that. So we are working also on this aspect, which I think it's very important, and many of the startups and new businesses need to disseminate and promote themselves a bit more.
When I'm listening to you, I think you might be a good example of this passion and enthusiasm, which meant to be a compliment, but really I think it's important when you just communicate the information and you don't attach a little bit of passion and your personal magic to the project, it never works, certainly. Talking about magic, question to Aleś. Magic coming from science, because here recently I was talking with one of our friends on a different meeting, on a different summit. It was about AI, about the AI bias. Well, we all probably know. If not, then please notice that there are some problems with algorithms and machine learning processes that, for example, I know exclude bald, blonde, 40 years old male from some equations, and we are underrepresented, for example. But of course, the bias might be different. And in research, in a research of agri-food, agri-tech, the general food and agricultural market, do you think that, or can you tell us, is there somehow equal proportion between female and male scholars, or it's like dominated by ladies or dominated by gents?
Yeah, first of all, congrats for the event and also for your really sparkling mentoring, or how to say, hosting.
Go to the question.
Yeah, hosting is really excellent event, by the way, and also the discussion is heating up. Before I answer to your question, we heard a lot about the balance, and we have to speak up also something else. As a teacher, as a professor, I always promote the big picture. At the moment, this event and our excellent listener, guests in the audience, of course, we are dealing with big issue, which is really a local one. So we're talking about gender balance in developed food systems. But my biggest concern is, and I always look at the global picture. And I will not be happy if we do not spend few minutes on really big issues which are part of the agri-food system, global one, and extremely important role in this issue, there is a female and woman power. So it's a global hunger. I know it's a party breaker now, because we would like to talk about fancy, but my dear colleagues, millions of people are suffering hunger in less developed countries. And even there, female role is really a crucial one. Around 40% of global workforce in paid form in agriculture is female, around 43. But they have 10 times less access to means of production in agriculture. So 43 labor force, around 5% of the total access to means of production. If we could think of balancing the access to means of production between female and male, we could increase the productivity in less developed countries by 20 to 30%.
Sounds unbelievable, but
it's really unbelievable.
Simple math.
And so we can reduce the hunger, global hunger, between 17 and 20%. So of course, the developed countries, as we are, we have also to do important things and make a balance in the role of female. We will discuss this later. But I think, please do not forget that we are living in a global, in a world which has really extremely inconvenient phenomena like people dying from hunger. We can go on how strange the human animal is, and self-destructive. We heard about the Ukraine, we see the Palestine, and so on and so forth. So really we have to balance ourselves first, a bit of philosophical ping pong going back. Yeah, and this is probably the last, but I really have this mission to open also in our beautiful countries and developed countries, the fact that people are dying from hunger and some people are also dying from overfeeding. So this is a global issue I would like to bring, and female also, of course, have a very, very important role here in balancing the global system. And now going back to your excellent question, in the research teams, I am somehow privileged because the research teams that the companies which I collaborate with, I work, they are disbalanced towards female. So your mission or your statement was that always the male are presenting the food products. I'm so happy that it's not true for me. So we have in the research area and product development teams, it's vast domination of female, which is not okay. But then on the managerial part of the companies, of course, we see majority of the people are, I mean, the leaders are male. And that, you know, that's one of the balance we have to work out, of course, because it's not productive.
I just want to intervene. I mean, you wanted a heated discussion, so now I'm going to counter argue. I think positive discrimination should happen more. So I think if we have even more women than men in at front of leaders, I think it should be what we focus now. So I don't believe there is too much. Maybe in your case, but I want more women at power. I want more women to be the role model.
Me too.
And of course, we need to count on men allyship because it is important. And I'm always saying it. I like to be in front of an audience and I like to speak to women, but we don't need to be preached because we already know what needs to happen. So we need to have more men in the room to preach them our story. So we need to bring the men in the same story and the telling story that we have. But more women at power and more positive discrimination, I encourage that. Let us worry afterwards.
Yeah.
More women in power and more men listening. So high five, Ales.
We are the first
good
two, huh?
examples, yes. Great. Let's jump back to Małgorzata, to your experiences, and a fundamental question that comes so close to the agri-tech, to our Agrifood Women in Agri-Food Summit 2023, because this is not the only initiative of European Union and different European branches and agendas and agencies for empowering women in our very sector.
No, they're one of the best ones.
They are one of the best ones, or even the best one, we can say. But do you feel that the state of the art in European Union, in our countries, in our continent, is that in 2 or 3 years we can see a jump, we can see increase in those effects that we are all talking here, those dreams, those wishes that Lorena mentioned, for example. What can we do in a short run, in a short perspective, to see a difference? Next year, in some other great city of Europe, maybe we'll have some more optimistic proportions and numbers.
Well, I wouldn't like to disappoint you much, but in the short run, there is not
Nothing.
much we can do. We're talking about systemic changes, so it takes time to actually change the system, as Magdalena Gryszko mentioned. It's not about, well, those initiatives are crucial and education is crucial and many other aspects are crucial, but to change the system, we need more actions and more time, especially. So I can't come up with any solution that would, change the world in 1 year, as you say.
You actually shared with us one great solution at the beginning of this panel, saying that we need to repeat and repeat why women are important, like super important representatives in this equation of making the agri-food system or sector more efficient and valuable.
And also sustainable, what also have been mentioned a few times.
Maybe a word on that, about sustainability?
Yes,
Is
it also refers to what Ales mentioned, and to more global perspective, because we, for example, have a recent report from FAO. FAO is a United Nations organization dealing with food and agriculture. And they actually proved what you said, that empowering women in agri-food sector reduces sharply the hunger, boosts the economy, but also reinforces the resilience towards such shocks as, for example, COVID pandemic or war or climate change. So we know and we have proved that women are agents of change. So we should work on their empowerment and do whatever we can to let them in and to let them act. So that's the first aspect. We also know that women are more active in terms of sustainability and eco actions within NGOs as a form of public activism, but also in a private sphere, so within their households. So they take more sustainable decisions, which is also important and influences the whole society. And what is really important, not only because it's the topic that I'm interested in, but but also
We are all.
but also we also have data showing, proving that in those countries where women are more present in national parliaments, decisions taken, policies made within those countries are more sustainable. So we are agents of change. And if we are talking about changing the system, we need to change the rules of the game, actually, to change the whole system, because women have been working in the agri-food system forever, so maybe it's time to actually make the agri-food system work for women for a while.
All right, very, very fair observation, or actually a manifesto that I would remember that. If I'm not mistaken, please let's repeat it once again.
I'm not sure if I can repeat it.
But it's like the countries in European Union which have more female representatives in their parliaments have what, faster or more efficient?
No, they make more sustainable policies. Legislation, yes.
All right, and when by chance maybe you remember when you were measuring that, it's 2023 or maybe some last
No,
years?
it's measured every year. There are some institutions like Interparliamentary Union which checks that every year.
All right, so this is magnificent observation, and thank you for sharing that. Let us jump to Lorena. We've still both Aleś and Małgorzata can exercise your right to interfere whenever you like and you are pleased. And the question to you will be, you encourage women to speak up and to be more active. This is your dream. I think this is all of our dreams are actually the same. We want to see more and more female leaders atop of organizations, NGOs, parliaments, governments, companies. Nice. But what do you think can encourage? You have this awareness, you have this consciousness, but what can increase the awareness of, let's say, my stepsister? She's 21, she's a student, and when I talk with her about leadership, she says like, leadership, let other people be leaders. Is there something you can recommend us as an encouragement for ladies, all age ladies?
Yeah, well, I think there are several important factors, but one would be representation, and I'm not getting tired of mentioning that because representation really matters. So when you see someone that could be your hero, your model, and that it's achievable, because many women dream of doing things, but then life gets into business, like you have a kid, you have someone to take care of, you have responsibilities, you feel you're not motivated enough, or maybe the legislation in that country is not so friendly towards women, you don't get the necessary funding, people don't believe that your business model is really the right thing. So I think we need to have representation in all sectors. We need to have more female managers in banks that would give loans to other young motivated women. We need to have women in local municipalities. We need to have women in social security. We need to have more women that could understand the situation of a woman and be in their place and understand the value of a network and of, because it's so easy to dream, but if you don't see someone doing the same thing that you are doing, you don't realize how easy or how difficult it is. So to me, representation is one in all aspects: a teacher, a researcher, a politician. You need more representation. And I'm not talking only of women, because white women, but I'm also talking of more diversity. You need to believe in that dream that someone like you, that looks like you, made it up there,
All right, I understand that we call for greater representation of women in different verticals and horizons, of course. But I really want
how do we do that?
How do we encourage? Please use the example.
Okay,
of my
I will use a
stepsister.
very
Like, what would you say to her?
First of all, I think quotas. We need quotas, and then we need to have those quotas. And I would say to your sister or sister-in-law that you need to give it a try. And if you don't want to be a leader, that's fine, but you can be a role model. You don't always have to be in, top management to actually give an example. So you need women in all kind of sectors and fields and levels to help each other. And I think that's also a thing that maybe women are not so good at, empowering other women. So I think we also need to realize the power of, when you are in a position and you made it, you are successful, you need to help other women that are at the start of their career or they are in a similar situation. We need to help each other more, I think, women.
I'm double happy because of what you have said, how you have concluded this part of our panel, because the moderator cannot have a better situation than just, you gave Aleś such a ball that my question will go like that right now. So I understand that women should support other girls, other ladies in being role models in your communities, neighborhoods, academias, jobs, companies. But what about men? What would you say if a man come to a lady, a colleague from work, from a working environment, and this is the question to you, Aleś, and the man, this gentleman, this colleague, male colleague says, hey, friend, why don't you show up more oftenly in our meetings? Why don't you play the role of a role model in our organization? And the question is, don't you think that sometimes this kind of very positive, in my opinion, attitude might be seen as a mansplaining, like, why you men even talk to us like that? You don't tell me what I should do. Is there any scientific or social response that you discuss with your colleagues for this kind of dilemma?
What I do, of course, I can expose how my team is composed of. So I have 9 co-workers and 1 male and 8 female colleagues. And to be serious, how I stimulate my colleagues to flourish. I focus on men. I give men more work, also in the teamwork. I think this heavy focus on female power, exposing, and so on and so forth, very important. But let's go to the core problem here. What is the root cause of this problem? It's very simple. Female have much more responsibilities in the society than we do have. So if you would like to, empower female, you should give more different tasks to male. And that's what I do. It's maybe a little bit, oversimplifying, but I don't care about female, and I really give the proper heavy overburden in my teams to male, and then female automatically flourish. They come out, then they became leaders, then they became decision makers. So it's also from the, let's say, development process or logic of change. What is the root cause? Root cause, and if you go back to the global perspective, which I love very much from my history when I was studying development economics in sub-Saharan Africa, those figures about burdens and disbalance occupation of female in rural societies of sub-Saharan Africa is just crazy. And how that you can expect balance in all these kind of results. So the simple, find a man, team of guys, and give them a lot and complex works, and then you will see that the total burden will find a balance, and then female can flourish. That's my secret spice. So work much more with, you have a team, and male, they need more attention with heavy burden, and then female part of the team will start to flourish. But of course, you have to be a good leader. My important, let's say, fundamental, thing with leadership is that I work a lot with young people. So it's, you can give them the tasks, you can give them the projects, but usually, in European culture, we mid-aged, bold, happy professors, we go away. We leave the team, develop your own team dynamics and everything will be perfect. It's not working. So you give them power, you give them tasks, but then you're with them. Yeah. Otherwise, the work will not do. So, think about male. Yeah. And then female balance will happen. Give them, if you go to the global perspective, let's male go to collect waters. I remember from my early days of my study, billions of hours in sub-Saharan Africa are wasted or used by female to bring, I'll not use the word, but water to the households, while male are, talking bullshit. Let's change it.
I think comments from both Małgorzata and Lorena will be immediate.
Yeah. Aleś, go and bring us water.
Thank you for that. In the meantime, I may ask some of the kind organizers maybe to reconnect us with the internet people who are being with us. Maybe there are some questions and I could maybe use my moderating authority to read a question or two to you. So if somebody can help with that, I would be super happy. Ladies.
So to your surprise, I would actually partly, agree with Aleś in a way that actually it goes in line with what has been said here already. I don't know, for example, by Magdalena, that we know, and we don't have to look for Africa even to know that still in Europe, the division of, for example, household duties has a huge impact on the women's involvement in public sphere. And if we don't change that, we will not change the system. So yes, I agree. Maybe, I feel a bit pity of your colleague, male colleague in your team.
He's very strong one.
He's
very strong.
In general, looking at the whole society, yes, I agree that we will not change it without men's involvement and men's major involvement in a private sphere, which is also would be beneficial for them.
All right, but Małgorzata, so really help us or help people like me
Yes.
who are a little bit afraid of the accusation of mansplaining, and sometimes I found it on my own practice, professional practice, that sometimes I prefer not to give any suggestions when we have a general meeting or not to step up too strongly, because then somebody will say, hey, you are a man and you are telling us what we should do to be more active and having more responsibilities. What should be the right
Well, you always
answer to
run that risk, but I think in the majority of cases, women would appreciate such a support, both from men and women. And here I would like to strongly agree with Lorena that, we're talking about men and raising awareness of men, but I think we should also raise awareness of many women, because we generally don't support each other often. And this is something that also should be changed, that women should support other women in order to change it, so change the system. So I wouldn't be afraid much of such a situation.
All right.
In your case.
Thank you very much. We will jump to Lorena with the same question about mansplaining as an element of this balance recultivation we want to have in our agri-food sector. In the meantime, I will just say that thank you all of you who are commenting on our chat, question and answer section. They are mostly like words of thankfulness to all the speakers. And if you have any questions, because I will not just read how much you appreciate our speakers today, then please go ahead, and we have good access right now. We can share these questions, so you can be closer to the panelists as much as the audience here in Vilnius. So, Lorena?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to disagree completely
All
with
right.
certain things that Aleś was saying. No, but I think you shouldn't give more work to men to make women shine. That's completely wrong, in my opinion, again. But I think you need to change the system. Why do women have more burdens at home? You should make someone was mentioning maternity leave. You should have the same amount of time of paternal leave. So why do women do certain things? Well, because men think they don't need to do that. So you don't need to change it in the company. You need to change it in the society.
But that's
So,
what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
give
but-
them more work, of course. I mean, give them fraternity leave. We have it. So what's the difference between?
That's one thing, and I agree with that. We need to encourage that, but you can't say that. Well, at least in my opinion, that men can do much more than women, and then women have the possibility to be, promoted. Because I think if men and women have the same situation at home, then they would have the same path, and then they could take the same challenges, and then they could take the same raises or promotions or so on. But you need, I think a woman can do even more, in I don't know, a stress situation or challenging situation. So to me, that maybe the practice and the results are good, but the philosophy or the principle, I can't be
What
convinced.
is
But we
then
can
the philosophy?
continue.
What is the philosophy? Because you all the time speaking more, more, more.
Yeah.
But the question is how? Systemic change. What is systemic change?
Well, it's everything. I would say our beliefs.
Everything is nothing.
We are gender biased, Like, for example, I'll give you a question, and I'm completely honest about this. My 3-year-old son asked me, "Mommy, what is a pilot?" And my first reaction was, "Is the
Guy
man
with
that
mustache.
is
Yeah.
the man that flies a plane?" And I stopped for a second, and I went, how am I going to give this definition that is a man that flies, a plane? And then I stopped and I said, it's a person that, but so these are the changes that I'm talking about, because we also were raised with this philosophy, with this gender biased culture and system and so on. So yeah, I think we need to do small changes every day.
I'm so lucky that I was raised with equality in the gender family and the society as well, where this is really very much present. The gender equality in my beautiful boutique country, Slovenia, it's really there, and cultural as well. So that's maybe our understanding is a little bit different, yeah, but I totally agree with you and support that also other countries will, and I completely confirm that it's a cultural matter. And then you go back to the root causes, yeah, and if you have a small, problems as I see them, then this kind of stimulation, and exposing more work to male can improve, yeah, the situation.
But did you ask your female colleagues what they feel about that?
I mean, for me, this is also something. We do not discuss because it's not an issue very much. At least in my, and also one
Or maybe
philosophy.
they don't want to share it.
No. My working environment and the faculty I work, 75% of students are female. So it's food technology, biotechnology, it's maybe even the opposite one, because I would also like to see the balanced, my problem in the future is how to, empower good male that will take care more about households, that will go in line with female, which I respect very much. And, we can talk a lot about what are really the specific characteristics where the balance between male and female will happen. And so maybe I'm the example, the good one, where in my environment the things are balanced.
I'm sure you're a good example, but if I may, I think you're
role model,
both
maybe.
the role model, maybe. I think you're both. Well, when I'm listening to you, your both arguments go mainly in the same line, but expressed differently. Because what Alice is saying and what you're saying also is, we need systemic changes to actually let women do what they want to do to be present in the public sphere. To do that, we need to change the system and to actually, by that, involve more men in other duties. So I think you actually agree more than you think you do, because it's about letting women do what they want to do and involve men more in private sphere and in those things, issues, duties that they're not involved at the moment.
My friends, when the leading Polish journalist says from the audience that I disagree, there is a natural instinct rising in this panel that we should take the microphone and go to you and involve you to the discussion as well. So I will just do that. Maybe I will not destroy anything with the equipment. There you go. Renata Kim is being recognized. Please. Sir? I know. Thank you.
No, I just have two very, very small remarks on what you said, Maciej, because when you talked about mansplaining, I don't think you can really use it in a work situation because it's about sharing your knowledge and experience. Mansplaining is when you tell a woman or women how to live, what to think, what kind of thinking is right and what is not. So I would say that in an office or in a business, when
just an example, but
when
what about Lorena's example when she said we need more women in leadership positions, and then there are some gentlemen who want to encourage their female colleagues to become
if it's
leaders.
sincere,
Mansplaining
if
or
it's,
not?
if it comes from their hearts and they really want to support women, I would be very, very grateful. And there is no trace of mansplaining in such a situation. And that was one. And the other one was to Professor Kuchar, because when I thought of this one colleague of yours who is so burdened with all responsibilities, I was so sorry for him because
no. He enjoys very much.
it must cause resentment.
Yeah.
So I was very much with Lorena saying that I would rather seek like equality and encouraging by the law more duties for men and more make them understand what is women's life and what is women's fate when you have to choose whether you stay home and or go back home early or think about being promoted, proving that you work as hard as your male colleagues. So again,
I mean, we really live
fast comment.
Yeah.
And maybe one more question if somebody is eager enough to then raise your hands.
Yeah. I mean,
Sir?
of course, we have very big gradation of the situations. I'm really, when I was preparing for this meeting, I was really thinking about the global issues. Yeah, and in Europe, in general, we really live in a beautiful world, and we are discussing about fine details, but still there are very big differences between the countries, and I'm really not feeling confident when we are talking that we have to put in the law such a fundamental things as the gender equality. And my environment and culture where I was raised is really not calling for the regulation for female equality. That's my, maybe I'm really the, the exception.
I was agreeing with you, but now I stopped, Alex, really,
Okay, so
really. Now I think like putting gender equality in regulation is the first crucial and essential step, and we can't go, forward without that. Even if the society looks great, but we have no society in the European Union which is in terms of gender equality is perfect or even approaching to the perfect. So I think there is a lot still to do, and it has been proven that there is no more effective measures than legal ones.
So then I will have the five colleagues and five female male.
No, not necessarily. No. It doesn't mean...
I need to intervene. Małgorzata is finishing, and then we have a question. Małgorzata, please.
No. I wouldn't understand it in such an easy measure that quotas and parity, and which also is very important. We were just saying that let's not believe that we have a society which is equal, because we don't have such at the moment. And we know that legal solutions are working. And
Friends,
that's it.
Last question.
Yeah, I will be very short because I was asked to. So next year, we are going to have a new commission and new parliament. And I know you disagree with legislation, but in one word, because we had like very important legislation that was passed about gender equality, what are you most looking for this new commission and parliament to act on for more gender balance in the agri-food?
Great question. I will allow 2 sentences of answer, and then and then you will get your well-deserved applause. Alex.
So the question was pointed to me, yeah?
To all of you, very briefly, 2 notes.
To know how to increase the policy participation, or so we have the subsidy policies where of course we have to stimulate the gender balance, and there are already requirements to evaluate when the projects are applied whether there's a gender balance policy, of course. And let's work for good proposals from the female part of the beautiful world. Yeah. So we are here, and EVA, let's say, the project EVA, program EVA, is definitely one of the best instruments.
In the new commission terms.
For sure, increase, improve, yeah, pull forward.
Please
yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
kind decision makers.
This is one of the messages. Yeah, EVA is for sure one of the best instruments in this regard.
Yeah,
Very
so more female representation within policymakers and the European Commission team. And then I think gender conscious investors and investing. And that should be throughout all the EU funding. So give them points, give an advantage to people that are really presenting a mixed team, looking at gender equality.
Małgorzata?
I would go further. So not only gender equality understood up to now in checking the teams, applying, but really checking whether the projects and actions that will be funded actually contribute to major gender equality, which is more complicated, but it can be applied, and I really hope for that.
I hope this discussion brought to you a little bit more of balance and harmony. Małgorzata, Lorena, Alex, big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.